All right, so we're going to go over last night's homework. Here we have that in inequality notation that my x values have to be greater than 0. How would I write that in interval notation?
Domain that is 0 to
0 to positive infinity. What do I use? What symbol do I use with the 0? Parentheses, because it's not equal to, it's just up to 0. And then what do I always use with the infinity? A parentheses. All right, how about set notation? Such that
values of x
are element of the real numbers. Perfect. Ooh, I'm about to run out of space. I kind of had to squeeze it in there. Anybody have a question on these? Okay, let's look at this one. This means what? How do we read this? All real numbers. How do we write that in inequality notation?
the sign domain is the sign for all the
How do we write? This was in your notes. We did this one in your notes, so all you had to do was copy your notes. How do we do this one? The set of x values such that is an element of the real numbers. The set of real numbers. Questions? This one I will not test you on. I just want to introduce you to it so you'll have seen it. Here I want the set of all y values such that y values are element of the real numbers and where y is less than or equal to 1. What's going to go here? And what's going to go here? To 1, because it's the numbers less than, so it's going to be 1 on the right and going to the left. So that means negative infinity, which we said was a parenthesis. What about the 1? Why a bracket? It is inclusive. It includes that 1. Here we're talking about the range. I had to tell you that so you would know which variable to use here. I want these range values. How would you write that here? Why is it also the equal to? It has the bracket. Okay, and then so this one is questions on this?
Why is 1 bracket? Like, why is 0 bracket?
Okay, it depends on this sign right here. If it's the greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, if it actually includes the number, it's the bracket. If it's just a greater than or less than, then it doesn't include that number. It goes right up next to it, but it never actually touches that number. That's a parenthesis. So when you don't include it, parenthesis. When it is included, bracket. And we wrote it right here too, if you want to make sure you highlight that, so you can use it on your notes in your tests, okay? Good question. Anybody else have a question? No? Okay, then let's look at this part up here. We were using this graph right here to finish these. So how would we use inequality notation for this one? Let's do the domain. I think that's shaking, and I'm hoping it's not. I'm trying not to shake it. Okay, how would we do the domain here? Less than or equal to 4. Greater than -1. So again, it's between -1 and 4. So I know -1 is my smaller number, goes here. 4 is my larger number, goes here. This is Algebra 1. This is how we did it in Algebra 1. It includes the 4 because it's a closed circle. So that means the equal to goes with it. If it's an open circle, it's just the less than or greater than. Anybody have a question on that? No? Okay. Oh, that's what I used to use, was my podium to hold it so it wouldn't shake. I'll put my chair there next time. Okay, so let's look at the range. This time, what variable will I use? The y. What two y values are the endpoints of my range? Negative 2 and 3. So negative 2 goes to the left because it's smaller. Now, y is what compared to negative 2?
Oh, greater than.
Greater than negative 2. And what is it compared to the 3?
It's
Less than or equal to. Perfect. Questions on this? All right. Set notation. Okay. Any questions? We're all good? All right, then the last thing we have to do is to look at this one. So this one says to create a graph to fit the domain and range. So I'm going to give you the stipulations for the domain and the range, and you're going to create a graph. Will everybody's graph look the same? Absolutely not. No. In fact, more often than not, it will not. So graphs of different functions can share a domain. So for example, this is the parent function of the absolute value functions. This is the parent function for the quadratic functions. They both have a domain of all real numbers because eventually every x value will be on there. And they both have a range of y is greater than or equal to 0. Is there another way you could have drawn this graph? Oh, there's lots of ways, right? There's an infinite number of ways. I could have shifted either one of these graphs to either side. Whoa. I could have drawn something that looks like this. Same thing. So we could all have different types of graphs and it still be the right answer. All right? Yes.
What is just the like capital R on the domain?
That's that all real numbers. Remember? With the double lines on the it's this. It's just that when we write it, it looks like this. When the program does it, it like double lines the whole thing. It's the same thing. Just means all real numbers. Good question. Okay, does anybody have a question on this part? So now, let's create a graph that satisfies the domain and range given. I want you to draw a graph where the domain is all real numbers and the range is all real numbers.
No. Is this one?
Absolutely. The easiest graph to draw would have been what? Well, any straight line, right? Unless it's horizontal or vertical. Any diagonal line. So any line like this, anywhere around in here, anything that way, here, this way. Any straight line with arrows at the ends showing that it goes on forever, as long as it's not vertical, because then that's going to limit your domain, and as long as it's not horizontal, because that's going to limit your range. You could also do a curve like that one. Oh, no, can't be that. Never mind. Hold on. Time. I drew that wrong. Here it is. Because they both go up, yeah. One's got to go down somewhere.
Hey, that looks like mine.
There we go.
No, that's not what you did.
Close.
What happened?
He did like a parabola, like sideways. He's saying that that's.
That's going to limit your domain. If it's like this, look, right. It's good because none of these x values are going to be on there. Does that make sense? You got to have something
That
that's
makes sense, but that's not what I drew.
okay.
You drew like a wiggly.
Okay.
Try to work that.
Okay. The next one says that we want to have a domain such that your x's are all real numbers and are greater than or equal to 0. What line means x is greater than or equal to 0? Well, what line is x equals 0? It's the what?
Origin?
The y-axis. The y-axis is x equals 0. This line right here is x equals 0. People who are watching the video, I'm sorry, it's shaking. But every time I write it, shakes it. All right, let's pick something darker. So then y is greater than 0. So what line is y equals 0?
The x-axis.
The x-axis.
So
This we learned in Algebra 1.
the line start from 0.
So this is y equals 0. Mine has to be greater than 0. So it has to be up here. And then it has to be greater than, so it has to be up here. So I need a graph that's going to include these two zeros and has to go on forever in both ways. Okay? All right. So if it helps, you can color code it. If it doesn't help, don't do it then. That's fine.
Like that.
That's how I was going to draw my line. This is how I drew mine. Very simple. You could have done a curve that goes on forever this way, comes and touches this line, and then goes back out. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. As long as it does not cross the x or y axis and stays in, but it's got to include a point on the x and y axis. Are we good? Okay. The next one has two limitations on the domain and the range. So I'm going to draw those. Why did I put these up? I don't know. So x equals -4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is right there. and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know it has to be in between these two red lines.
Can you amend this one just for you?
I'm thrilled.
Would you like to see it?
I would just love to see it.
Just for you, Ms. Katie.
Your only problem there is that it has to stay in. Are those arrows at the end?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no. It's got to stay in this side, this box right here. It's got to include those points. It's got to include every Y point between here and here. It's got to include every red point from here to here and the two lines themselves. So just change your
Size?
endpoints to your arrows to endpoints that lie on those lines. I couldn't think of the word I wanted to say.
What?
Sure, if it touches all 4 points, yes.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a function, right?
No, it does not. Does it say it has to be a function?
it's not up here.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just about like always. Same old, same old. The easiest thing would have been to draw an endpoint here and an endpoint here in just a straight line, right? Because then every X and every Y. If you wanted to, you could have just drawn a curve if you wanted a curve. But make sure that they are closed because they are both or equal to. Questions on this? Nobody? Okay, then let me give you your assignment and then you'll have the rest of the period to finish it so you don't have to take homework home, hopefully.
Did we glue this or
Oh, no. No. Y'all have a review.
review?
Okay.